What's up, John? How we doing, boss?
Good, how are you, buddy?
Good, good, good. I'm sorry about your team the other day, man.
Yeah, didn't change my life at all.
I understand that, but I mean, obviously you're in the fight there. You've made it, but
Uh,
I'm hoping for a better game for you guys.
you know, we put a we put a first year guy in our on our line.
Yeah, I mean, like y'all's quarterback had no shot, no shot, no
He
shot.
shouldn't have been there. Guys
And
are
I did,
running around him like you wasn't even there.
and I did my part, man. I did. Oh, I'll tell you the crazy thing I did. Uh,
You bet Seahawks?
well, I didn't really bet Seahawks, but I did as a bet point spread. So
Uh,
I bet if Patriots, I felt like they're going to win. It's going to be a low, like they would score, they would only win by six or less.
mm,
But I took Seahawks. I took two spreads. I took 13 to 18, and I thought 19 to 24, right? Because I felt if they win, it's gonna be a blowout. Well, when they were winning 13 to 18, I was like, cool, I'm gonna win $700 off of $100, no big deal. And then all of a sudden they score that junk touchdown and they're winning above that. I'm like, well, crap, you know. And then so I'm rooting for your boys to score. They score, and then the running back for the Seattle breaks through. Luckily, there
yeah.
was a flag on that play, and so end up winning a little bit of money.
All
Uh,
right.
all right, well here's where the story gets cooler. I cash that out, go to the roulette table, bet the first number. Always bet the same numbers on there, but the first number I bet it hits. I let it ride. It hits again on the third spin. I said, dealer, I'm doubling down. If it hits, that's all for you. It hits a third time, so I was able to give a $2,000 tip to the dealer the other day.
Damn.
That was pretty cool. Everybody had a good day. So,
Well, I remember you and I at
dude, that was so fun. That
that
was so
crazy
fun.
blackjack table.
That was so fun. Yeah, we got
We
to go
had
do
no
that
idea
again.
what we were doing, but we were making money.
I don't know. That wasn't Blackjack. That was some other game. And you and I have never played it. I still don't even know what game it was. Yeah, Sarah knows. Sarah's used to be a dealer for 10 years. And yeah, we're winning money without even knowing what we're doing. That's the best way. Yeah. Hey guys, good to see everybody here. I'm gonna go really fast today because this might be one of those questions or like Q&A type stuff you guys need to put in here. We're gonna focus on progress evaluations and when to do these, when not to do these, what they're for, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna get everybody logged in here. Good to see some faces here. Some of you guys look warmer than you were the other day. I've heard the weather is getting better. Some of you guys are probably still getting unfrozen. Looks like Trevor's always frozen. He's
Hey, so
always got the
I
beanie
got
going on.
I have my team on the call right now, and I just want to say that Santana got a two paid in fulls for his first L2 yesterday, so he rocked
Well,
it.
that is freaking awesome. I know he's brand new. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read my notes. I'm not starting my call yet, but my notes on here literally says, "All right, team. Before we get to systems and structure, I want to start by recognizing a few people who are setting the standard right now. First, Lakin. Oh, what are you up here for? And I'm not bragging about you, Lakin. I know Landon stepped into a new role of teaching. I know you have a new hire, Santana. I'm looking forward to meeting him. So I know, like, guys, anybody when you transition staff, it's exciting and also a little bit of like, okay, like what can I do to help them? And also, I'm sure if I'm these guys that are new into their role, I know Landon's been there for a while, so Hannah's new, is kind of new environment. Like nobody wants to do a bad job of anything, and we all want to do a good job, and we all want to please the people around us that love and support us. So, um,
Landon
you
taught
know,
some fire classes, and
awesome.
Justin coached right alongside of her, so it was great. It was a wonderful day.
And I know you're getting a lot of your team to come to Atlanta, right? And so I know you're trying to find creative ways to help get them there. So, yeah, I mean, as a leader, I see your evolution there. I also see you and your team were on the Sunday call. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, and I know that was 2 hours of me giving. It wasn't a coaching call. That was literally like, here's what you go do for the whole month of March. So that was awesome. So yeah, I think your team's evolving, no pun intended, and so I love seeing that. Uh, so great job, Santana. Great job, team. Evolve. Landon, step onto the floor of being a head instructor now. So new transition, exciting. So good job for you guys. On that note, too, Natalia sent me a text this morning. She's dropping off, I think, donuts today. Was it donuts today? Is that what it was? Her momentum. She's gotten into the movie theater. School's firing. Her staff's involved. Kaya, who's the youngest on the team, is like on every call. So like traction, right? Energy's going the right direction. Right questions. You feel the sense of accomplishment, right? And David sent me a text yesterday. David signed a new lease yesterday, picked up new keys, right? And it's like, and now it's go time. And he literally sent me a text says, "Hey, now it's time to go save lives," which is pretty freaking awesome. So I want you guys to understand. I know we talk a lot about what happens on the classroom floor, how to teach, best concepts, how to market, how to sell, all these type things. At the end of the day, we got to remind ourselves why we do this, right? And actually, when we shift into progress checks in a minute, it's a reminder for us, one, why we're doing this, but we got to remind them why they're doing this too. So good job on that momentum. Now, that being said, momentum doesn't last, guys. Confidence doesn't last. Motivation doesn't last. Zig Ziglar said it best. Motivation doesn't last. We recommend daily, like bathing, right? So you've got to do things to inspire yourself. You don't need to look outside. You don't have to put in David Goggins when you're working out. Inspire yourself by taking the right steps. I had a 3-hour in-person meeting yesterday with some people I've never met before. We talk about inspirational. When COVID happened, there's a big church in Las Vegas here. I think it's called Central. Okay. And so I met with the gentleman who started the church here. I don't know how it's been, 30 plus years or so. It's been here for a while. Long time. I don't know how big it actually is, but apparently it's one of the biggest churches here in town. And during COVID, they had a food pantry and everything was shutting down. And they turned it up. And they became the largest in the country during that time. They did 12 million meals. Crazy. Think about feeding 12 million people, because that's basically, it was 12 million pounds, 12 million meals. And so, and I was just learning the concept and overcoming the challenges. And guys, listen, all of us, no matter what you're doing, we all got the same issues. I was listening to his story and he's sharing with me, he's planted churches all over the world. It's got super impactful in the church community. And just like, it's not much different than what we're doing, guys. The language is not much different. And so guess what? They struggle the same way we do. He says a lot of times you're on Sunday making sure you do a good enough sermon, because if you don't get the right kind of tithe coming in, churches live just like businesses live. And he says, sometimes it's hard to not get lost in the responsibility of what your heart wants to do compared to, making sure that everything operates, and it takes people and money and energy and vision. Okay. All right. So, hey, all of you guys on here, the fight continues every day. It is a war every day, a lot of times in your own mind, but then, we all got to step up to better leaders. But I see you guys, I really do. Like, I know the struggles. I listen to your stories. You guys take on the coaching. And so good on you for doing that. That being said, I know some of you guys were on the Sunday call. You invested time, 2 hours of your day before the Super Bowl. You invested money. If you weren't on that, I will drop the link later today. I'll probably put it in the chat. You can still buy access to the call and the whole file. I'm not sure if you guys looked through the whole file, but it's literally 62 posts for you to do for March. It is every playbook you need to do for March. You apply it to your curriculum. It's Mad Chats in there. It's your marketing. It's every concept that you need to do. Okay. And so that's not something we'll coach on throughout the week because it's too much information. We can touch on some of those things, but it was not a idea call. It was do this. Okay. All right. I'm going to move into today's notes. If you guys got questions, pen and paper, what is written is retained. Okay. So let's go through this. Today, we're going to focus on progress evaluations and checkpoints. What are these? Okay. I want you guys to kind of reset how you think about evaluations. If you tell a student that, hey, I'm going to test you, like most of you guys, when you hear the word test, positive, negative, like where are we at with that word test, right? I think a lot of times when people hear the word test, they get a little, they feel the pringly things kind of kick up there a little bit. We've almost been programmed that test is kind of a negative word. And actually, like anything, pressure testing or testing something really kind of checks in with ourselves, what we know, what we don't know, what it can handle, not. Supposedly, there's supposed to be another, around the trip around the moon here sometime soon. And it was supposed to be Sunday and it didn't happen because they did a pressure test and it wasn't ready. Well, they do that to make sure that obviously it doesn't take off when it's not ready. A lot of lives at stake, obviously, a lot of money at stake, a lot of hope at stake. And so when you test something, the reality is like, you're not just testing these students for their skill set, you're testing how well you're communicating your message. See, guys, I test you guys a lot of times. I will put questions or I'll do concepts because I'm trying to see how well are you really leading? Or are you falling in the same traps and doing the same messaging all the time? And so we'll change the word test to evaluations, but really what you're doing with these guys is you're testing your students and your parents and you about how well you are communicating, how well you are setting accountability, and how well you're really actually creating transformation. how well you're actually, we're going to save lives. How well are we really doing this? So why would you not want to do these? Because if I go to the gym, I could look at the bar. If the weight's going down, something's not right. If I step on the scale and it's not changing, something's not right. If I never pressure test, not just on a belt test. By the way, I really believe belt testing, competition, and going out to the street and punch somebody in the face are probably the three best ways to test your martial arts ability. Wouldn't you agree, John? All right, let's go get in a fight. I don't recommend that one, but belt testing and competition, that's why tournaments, every one of our students, they must compete. It's in our system. We have a tournament season. It ends not in a belt testing, they end in a tournament. And why is it not good for a red belt to go to the first tournament? Because they're competing against red belts, they can be competing against their white belts. And so now the moment's big, in their mind, too big. So I believe we need to compete, we need to belt test, and then we need other moments to check in. How well am I communicating? How well is my message? And am I saving lives and transforming lives? Or am I just an exercise coach? Okay. Now, here's the next thing. Please hear me. This one's really important because this applies to everybody here. The reality is people forget where they were. See, I deal with some of you guys right now running a school, and you forget the first conversation we had. You forget how your school was not organized physically. It was not organized in structure. It was not organized on your classroom floor. You forget because you've gotten used to that. You forget when you start to do 50K months, you forget what it was like to do $16,000 months because it becomes your new norm. You forget where you were. Well, if you're doing evaluation with a red belt and they're like, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not learning anything, because the improvement might be smaller with a bigger impact, but they forget how distracted and unfocused they were when they walked in the door. They forget how hesitant they were to try a new skill. They forget how unsure they were to trust your judgment. They forget their, right? Everyone forgets where they were because whatever we're living now is what we think has always been. All right. So just remember, a lot of times you have to remind people where they were. Hey, I remember when you walked in the door the first time and you wouldn't look at me in the eyes. I remember the first time you sat on the mat to teach a class, you were scared to do a student creed. I remember you guys here, you did your first close on a mass intro and you bumbled it all up. And then you were like, frick it, I'm never doing that again. Okay. Not naming any names here. I remember. Okay. So right now, a couple things you guys should check in with yourself as a leader. Everyone here is a leader. Claim it. We should work towards every day, not trying. We work towards every day of being a better leader, having better conversations, using our words differently. Where do you sometimes need to be reminded? Man, where was I before? Even if you theoretically had more success, guys, listen, at the height of my teaching career, under my tutelage, I had 3,700, almost 3,800 students. I actually think I'm better today than I was then. Just because you have more of something doesn't mean you're actually great at something. And so understand sometimes what the world sees might not be the reality. There's times in my life, guys, I did not want to wake up the next day. I prayed God would not let me wake up the next day. But everyone saw my life and was like, man, it must be nice having Aaron's life. And I was praying to God I wouldn't wake up. You don't know what people are dealing with, what hell they actually live between their mind. And so sometimes you got to remind yourself. You good? Uh-oh. Huh? Okay. You're good. Sarah just had a big moment a minute ago. You guys need to remind yourself where you were in your journey. Now you're gonna do a progress check with your student, and we want to upgrade them and renew them and all that kind of stuff. But let's pretend right now they're gonna walk out the door and never come back again. The real test is, have you made impact enough? Or if they walk out that door and never see you again, did you actually transform their life? Did you give them something that stays with them forever? So when they're in their dark days, I met with these two gentlemen for 3 hours yesterday. One of the guys, I'm meeting again with him next week. At the end of the conversation, we never even brought up martial arts. Martial arts was never part of the conversation. At the end, by the way, I was a student for these 3 hours. I was not a coach. I was a student in this role. At the end, when we're kind of departing, I brought up a little bit about martial arts. And the gentleman, he's probably, I don't know, 15 years older than me. He says, funny you say something about martial arts. He says, martial arts. Listen to his words. He says, martial arts saved my life. He says, when I was a younger man, if I wouldn't have had my martial arts teacher, I would have ended up in prison or dead. It gave me hope. He says, my instructor required me to be at the school 6 days a week because he knew I'd get in trouble. This man is an entrepreneur. He's started different big businesses in Vegas. Most of you guys would know. He created most of the nightclubs in Las Vegas. He's a restaurateur all over the country. He also then puts a lot of money into churches to get him started because between martial arts and his faith, and I didn't even know this at the end of the conversation, he said it saved his life. So what are you instilling besides just physical skill? All right. So what is a progress check? All right, matter of fact, show of hands. Who does not do these? Does anybody not do these? Okay. Does anybody not have them in the system? Josh, you guys do these already in your system, or you have them at set times?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we have basically, we have our season, 3 months of a season. And then of course we do our stripe tracking, but students we have a iPad set aside just where they update their stripes. When they get a stripe, they're excited to go update it. So we can check weekly on their progress, but then we do like a mid-season call just to make sure that they know if they're on track to graduate or not. So we have plenty of time to make it up. And if they're struggling, we look at our weekly, we should be reviewing our students to see where they're at, because we have those progress checks are right there for us.
I'm going to ask you a question about that here at the end.
Yeah.
Progress checks, guys. So, and you can call them evaluations, you can call them, different terms to them. And so when you're in academic school, typically twice a year, depending on how your school system works, they do a parent-teacher conference day, right? And we actually have done these twice a year too. So that's a different thing than a progress check. So just so I want to communicate, we do student-teacher conferences just like the academic school does, because that's a conversation that parents are used to entering. That's the system that we have. And then this is a progress check. Progress check is more physical. The student-teacher conference is more a verbal sit-down conference and discovery a little bit, okay? So I'm going to talk about progress check. So this one's kind of the blend of those. We do ours where the first, after they enroll, so they sign up today, 30 to 45 days from today, we would do the very first one. Now, what is that very first one? It's literally a check-in to make sure what we thought, the way that kid learns martial arts, right? How they process information, and how well the parent learns and processes information. It's a checkpoint. Not necessarily we're trying to sell them anything, but it's a checkpoint to make sure that we are professional and we care and we're showing and demonstrating this. And if there's any early victories or challenges, we want to know these. We want to celebrate those early wins, right? Hey, we want to give mom the chance to say, hey, this is what's happening at home, right? And spend time one-on-one. We want to physically take the kid through their same skills we did in their introductory course, right? If you got 7 or 8 or 10 skills, because in theory, if we're great, right, probably even for average, but if we're great, those 7 to 10 skills you do in the introductory course, now they've been with you for 30 to 45 days, they should excel at those. They should have some speed now, precision, right? They should have some confidence. And we want to document that because we want to remind us in the future where they started, they're in quick early wins because we're great at what we do. So we can document that. So when we sit down with them 6 months into the future, we remember, because you've got 300 students or 75 students that are going to be replaced by 75 new people, and you're going to forget too, just like mom and dad's going to forget. So we do as a checkpoint so we can document the progress. And in theory, if we do our jobs great, we have early wins. And then it gives us the conversation now that mom and dad and student has a better understanding, gives us the conversation to really talk about, hey, what is this program really? And what is the potential? Now, if you have an upgrade program and you want to introduce it, then you can. You can also just drop the seed for it in the future. We don't have an upgrade opportunity for us in the first 30 to 45 days. We'll talk about the path to black belt as the first step, not the last step. So ours is the very first 30 to 45 days. We believe it creates a high level of professionalism, of care, It helps us remind them where they started and how quickly they have victories. It helps us document the process about what we're doing right, good, bad, and ugly, if you guys know that process, what we can do better, and what we might need to massively change with that family. And it makes us that we stay in alignment. Now, the next process is 6 months into their training. If you start them off on a year, if you start them off on 10 months, do it at 5 months. If you start them off at 9 months, do it at 4.5. If you guys get the drift, that's the halfway point. Okay. Now, what's the point of doing it at the halfway? I can tell you exactly that my mind was on this, and then I was able to prove it, because sometimes we have a theory, and I like numbers. I'm an emotional person, but also I love math. Math protects me from making emotional decisions because I can look at an actual hard number. And so I can show you both on these. We were able to prove that if we waited to the last 25% or less of their time left on the program to talk about enrollment, re-enrollment, right, and renewal, or moving up to the program, most of the time they already have picked their next thing they were going to do, because in their mind they signed up for a year and that's the end of the program, even though they see all this other stuff. And so if you wait till there's 2 months left, they've already signed up for soccer. Okay. They've already signed up for volleyball. They've already signed up for the next thing because they thought, hey, we did this for a year. We tried it next. And so we play the game as we sign up for a year. At 6 months, they're done. In our mind, we have a halfway point and we pretend that's the end of the day. And so we make sure that we do everything we can to have a high level experience with everybody. But that first 6 months, if they're on a year program, or 5 months on a 10-month program, that we do everything we can to lead towards that halfway point, that we've excelled on those 3 golden questions, right? Why martial arts, why now, and what's the outcome they want? We might even said, now 9 months from today, what's the perfect outcome? Man, we want to hit that in 5 months. We want to beat that GPS. And we want to show them, not tell them. So the progress check is to show them where the kid is more confident. And how do we remember this 6 months into it? It's because remember that 30-day progress check we did? Oh, we have data now that we can remind ourselves. Oh man, he did this in 30 days. And now I've seen this progress and we've tracked it. Boom, we have data. And so what we're doing here is we're reinforcing. They still got 6 months maybe if they're on a year. We're reinforcing their why. We're reinforcing their improvement. We're also seeing that maybe there's a plateau. This is where boredom can happen. What is boredom? Boredom means they're not being challenged. They're not being seen. They don't feel like they're making progress because maybe it's smaller than it was when they first started. They're not having these leaps and bounds and jumps, right? They're not going from 135 on the bench to 185 to 225. They're going from 255 to 260 to 265. This is small, okay? And so understand, like for me, victory, just using that analogy, guys, right? Yesterday was chest and shoulders and tricep day. Like my victory is not losing strength as I get older. Anybody ever felt that where it's like, you're like, damn it, I used to be X and now I'm here. You know how hard it is to get back to where you were? Because it's a consistency game. So I'm not trying to get to 400-pound bench press. I'm not even trying to get back to my high point. I'm cool as long as I can have three of the big plates on there and I just maintain that. Victory for Aaron. Okay. I don't want to drop down to be a 2-plate guy. I don't want to be that. All right. I'll leave that for, my son's trying to get the 2 plates. That's his goal. All right. And so for me, it's maintaining. So sometimes, guys, you got to remind them like their improvements might be smaller. They're not the leaps and bounds. And it also helps us realign. And then, even though our system doesn't offer the opportunity a lot of times for them to move up, we're going to go in alignment with, is martial arts your vehicle for what your why is? Why did you choose martial arts? And we have data from asking these questions early on in the evaluation at the beginning before they even did a trial, when they signed up, when we did a progress check, because we're continuing to make sure we have alignment, because we're not a gym. We want them to show up. We want them to transform. We want to save lives. Now, everybody kind of understand the process. After you enroll them, 30 days, and then halfway through their system. That's your standard. There's other ones we create. Again, we do twice a year parent-teacher conference. Now, after every evaluation, guys, remember this saying, schedule the appointment from the appointment. Schedule the appointment from the appointment. So if I do a progress check at halfway and they don't renew, they don't upgrade, I'm not waiting till the end of the program. 30 days afterwards, I want to have a follow-up about the experience from what we did before. So just remember this, 30 days after or 45 days, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks after they start, evaluation. See what's working, see where they're confused, see where they need more depth, see what's winning. Remind them where they started. 30 days after that, just do a checkpoint. You don't need to do a conference with them, just a phone call. Check in with the parents. And I want to schedule that. What I mean by schedule that is I finish that 30-day review with them. Hey, mom, listen, I'm actually going to give you a phone call a month from today just to kind of see if we're maintaining this speed of progress. And then when I do the half point checkpoint 6 months into it, I'll do another follow-up 30 days afterwards. Then this is a formula. So if you do it, let's just play this numbers, guys. You do a 1-year course study. At 6 months, I've done that second evaluation. Let's say they upgrade at that point for a 2-year program. I'll restart the process. So they started then a 2-year program. 30 days after, I do another progress check because they're learning new curriculum, new material. And then halfway through the program, which now will be a year, not 6 months because they're on a 2-year course. I follow that same system or process through it, okay? All right, I'm going to pause here. Questions, concepts, misunderstandings, things you don't want to do, things you like to do, things you want to add to it. Give me some feedback here.
So I'm liking it. We do progress checks, but I really do people, they buy results, right? They want to see their kids move forward. They want to see their kids progress. And when kids don't move forward or progress, we know that there's a withdrawal from the parents' emotional bank account and the kids. So we always do them based on their progress each season. We keep, if they're not on track, we follow up with them. We let them know if they're not going to graduate, whatnot. But I've never done them. We do them funny a few months before the agreement's up, but I love it. So I'm gonna start adding in these 6 month, not even curriculum based, just experience based. Where you at right now? Not are you progressing your belts? So all of our progress checks are based. We do reach out to them. How are you doing? What's going on? Where have you
Right.
seen with midseason? Johnny's doing great. He's on track. How have you seen this improve at home? And we want the parents to give that emotional response. We've seen his confidence improve, but I've never done it midway through agreement. So I just added it as you're going to our calendar. So
What it does, Josh, I'm about to give you some gold right now that you can add specifically. Matter of fact, everyone should do this. And Landon, be ready to go next. Josh, here's the thing, and don't let me forget because I'm going to tell you 2 things fast. Right? The halfway thing. Your kid specifically did a lot of sports, right? A lot of activities. It's something about psychologically that when people sign up for a course, 3 months, 6 months, a year, when they get past the halfway season, they're on a countdown. It's like running a marathon. When you pass a certain point, it's like, oh, we're almost there. Oh, they think it's the finish line. That's why a lot of people, Friday, we're going to talk about Black Belt graduation. A lot of people think Black Belt is the end, and technically, it's the beginning. It is the first belt, not the last belt. We do a bad job of selling afterwards because we're so focused on, man, it's so hard to get to Black Belt because everybody quits, right? So a lot of it's our language. We're programming people. So if you get them at the halfway point, before they mentally shift to downhill, right, we can align again with goals and targets. It doesn't mean they might not do another activity, but they might not have to leave you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's the cool thing, Josh. Because of your platform that you have, everyone should do what I'm about to tell Josh. But check this out. If you sign someone up today, and 30 days from today, you do a 20-minute, 30-minute, basically another introductory little one-on-one. And you have some checkpoints. You have a little like process check, right? And you're like hand-eye coordination, right? Focus, right? And everything should be improved, right? Everything should be going up. If your staff's doing a great job, which I know they are, everything's going up. And then you can remind mom, hey, when you came in, you said you wanted X, Y, Z. Man, in 30 days, we've already had these results getting there. Remember, you just said people want the result? What if you were able to document that process? And then you're getting a feedback. Mom's going to give you some like, man, this is exactly what we're looking for, right? You're getting that testimonial. And you have so many kids in your program. And so like, and you know, you'll sign people up that'll quit. What if you just had all the data over the past just 12 months of your students that you've signed up in all your schools in the past 12 months, and you had that 30-day, the improvement, and you had a documentation of it, and you just showed the world all 12 months of the 30-day fast track transformations that you've made just in 12 months, not over the course of all your schools. And you could show the world that data, you would have so much overwhelming proof. Not a single other program, not even other activities. There'd be no other choice for a parent because it'd be overwhelming that if I need my kid to have more focus, confidence, respect, discipline, it's not the idea. The result is proven to me. and it's not Josh, the owner, telling me this. It's not the karate instructor on the floor. It is other parents. How many people do you think in the past 12 months have come in, started, maybe that are still there, maybe not there, in all your schools? That's probably a hard number to even think about. Like, what's the average sign up over the course of all your schools in a month?
Oh my gosh. Probably maybe mid 50s.
Okay.
So it's not
So
too high.
let's say you signed up 600 people last year.
Mhm.
Okay. If you had 600, now I'm not even counting your current students, right? Because that's 600 that are new people that came in.
Right.
What if you had 600 one line testimonials of we started this date and here's what happened in 30 days, and you could show it all?
I love it because for those who are newer on the call, we talk about when you're marketing, you don't want to just lead with the offer, the right hook. You want to lead with life transformation. People are inspired by people, like you said, like we really changed lives. So I think having all that literature ready for you, or even when someone inquires about, hey, I want confidence, you send them, here's how this kid gained confidence that we've talked about right after you get off the phone call. So I think having all that information is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason why people don't do that part of the data is because it feels like it's overwhelming to collect it, but it's really not. And you
But
can
on this,
automate a lot of that stuff, right?
yeah,
But that would be huge. That'd be
yeah,
huge.
100%.
All right, Miss Landon.
I just wanted to say that I did one of my first ones the other day with a student who was a newer student. Our first time that we did it with a newer student, it was about 30 days after they had started. And it was even cool for me to see how much progress they've made on a one-on-one situation. Like I see them on the mats, obviously, but like in
Right.
that moment, it was amazing.
Again, I love that too. That's great feedback to hear from you. I started the call is that we need to be reminded where we were. And sometimes when I see this in a kid, it reminds me of like, oh, okay, we're doing the right thing. Like we're moving in the right direction. Right. Um, and so like we need it as much as the kid or the parent needs it too. You know? Yeah, that's good. I love that. Natalia?
What is the best practice that you guys use to keep up all the information? Like where you keep it, where you organize it, how you do it?
Great question. I have a solution for you that you'll get after Atlanta, but in Atlanta, I'm going to show you guys a solution that I have for you guys. Obviously, software should do this for us, right? Software should. Should's a bad word, but software should. I'm redundant, and meaning the fact that like yes, software put notes in there that it can be shared. I also have like literally physical checklists that we do for when we do an evaluation, and we put that in a file because what's written is retained, and I think that there's something mighty as all the technology we have. When I write something down, I learn because I start owning the material. So I think an instructor going through some actually writing notes, because it is a lost skill, guys. Taking notes and documenting, it's a lost skill. We rely on tech too much, and we put that in a file. So we have a hard copy of what we documented. Here's what's really cool. On our Black Belt graduation, we'll talk about this on Saturday a little bit. We give the kids a journal and we give prompts for them to journal throughout the process because our Black Belt testing is 6 months long. I wish I would have something like that when I was 12 years old when I took my first Black Belt test. Not because the 12-year-old Aaron needed it, the 45-year-old Aaron needed it to remind me who I was then. How cool would that be to have now? So we're giving our kids a gift in the future, even when they're no longer students, because they're going to be able to document a process where they are now. So just think about the written word is super strong too. So between technology and then literally just doing old school, having a little documentation would be great to do. Yeah, perfect, John. Love it. And we're only going to improve those, by the way. So the new versions will be great because they'll have the prompts built into it instead of having to have the card separate. So, all right. Any other questions? And I'm going to move on a little fast here, and then we'll wrap up for today. Atlanta guys, I can't tell you how pumped I am. I know I sent a lot of you guys a text. I'm just trying to follow up with exactly if there's any way to get your team to get to Atlanta, like I know Lakin's creating opportunities to get our whole team there. Again, my concept that I learned the hard way was when your team is doing something like Landon and Haley were on the call with Lakin on Sunday, and I gave way more time than I promised, and I gave the whole file. They all got the information at the same time instead of Lakin had to go back to them. So they were in the know together, and I'm sure with 3 different people hearing something, there's different stuff there, right? So get your team in the same room with you. There's nothing going to be secret that your team can't hear, okay? Now, if you need to bring up stuff about your staff, that's a little different conversation, right? But I'm saying is bring your team to the room. Don't have to all be you. All right, Miss Landon, go ahead, and then I'm going to rock on.
Okay, so one of my biggest, and it could just be a personal thing, a worry of mine, so I never want anybody to quit, but everybody quits, blah, 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 blah. So at progress evaluations, how often do people quit, and how do you verb it so that it doesn't happen where they're like, oh, by the way, because I feel like that, in my opinion, which it could also just be me, it opens up the conversation of, okay, maybe I'm going to ask them to quit now.
Right. Okay. So like, let's give me a scenario maybe that you felt like you've experienced a few times.
Here's a recent one. We had a student who they were about 4 to 6 weeks, probably closer to 4 weeks in. They recently are trying to quit and they're causing a scene about it. And that's about the time frame we should have had our project evaluation. We just weren't doing them at the time. So they set a meeting, they wanted to quit. So like if the time frame would have been the time frame that they did their evaluation, it would have been the time that they would have said it. Like, hey, we want to quit.
Right.
I mean, I'm just in general, like I feel like that just opens up the conversation. I like it.
Sure.
I love it.
So the only reason why people quit anything is because expectations are not met.
Okay.
Reason why people want to leave a marriage isn't because of infidelity or whatever else. It's because whatever promises that other person made to the other person, they weren't met.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's the promise they made to that person they didn't meet, right? So you guys are making a promise to a parent. The reason why they're quitting is because that promise isn't fulfilled, right? That's the truth. And so that's why I'm saying the evaluations are really for us. It's like, man, maybe we're not actually doing the things we promise. I really do believe in the concept of overpromise, overdeliver. That's an obligation. And so the best way you do this is the more often you have conversations and communication with this. If things start going a little bit left, you can kind of get back on the course. And so there are misaligned expectations. So you promise them, and remember, if you overpromise, okay, at the very beginning of a relationship, when it comes to signing someone up, you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and you're making false promises because you know you can't back it up, and then you don't meet those expectations. That's why they want to quit. You said, hey, I'm the solution for confidence, I'm the solution for focus, and you don't deliver, and you don't communicate. So the parents are having a conversation in their head because you won't pull it out of them. They're not going to just come up to you and say, hey, we're having these issues. You've got to, whatever your promises are, you have to over deliver. So don't lie to them by under promising. Promise them you're going to do all those things and make sure you actually deliver. If you do that and you have communication and checkpoints, they're not quitting to go do soccer, because the reason why they go do something else, because why would they go do a sport? We think it's because they don't like martial arts. You didn't deliver something that soccer can. I'll tell you one of the things that soccer gives you that you guys aren't giving. Soccer, they get to go play the game. Karate, y'all practice. You have no game. Soccer, they practice, game. Practice, game. You know what people don't like? They don't like the practice. We're talking about practice. They don't want to practice. They want a game. They want to play. Guys, I don't want to go practice. The reason why Tom Brady retired is because he didn't want to keep practicing. He just wants to play the game. He could play the game right now if he wanted to, just to play. Okay? So, like, where are you giving them the chance to play the game? So they're not leaving it because they're telling us like, oh, they don't like it anymore, or they're having problems here. We're not meeting expectations. So the more you communicate, more systems, right? And then now, are there times where you need people to quit because they're the wrong fit and you sign up somebody who shouldn't have been in your program? Sure. Okay. I had someone ask me yesterday to bring on a client. I did a 45-minute call with them and said, hey, no good. Not the right fit. Not everyone's the right fit. Don't sign them up. Don't take their money. I had someone tell me, sign that guy up, take his money. I said, I'm not taking his money. That guy's not going to do anything I teach him to do. I'm not going to waste my time. Everything costs time and money. I don't need his money. And I don't want that stink on me. All right, that loser stink, where it's like they want to look successful. They want to look like they're busy, and they don't do shit. I don't want to be part of that. Okay. All right.
Okay, so kind of even take it more of like an opportunity to see if we're not meeting expectations as well.
That's why if you do it 30, 45 days in,
yeah,
you have a chance. And it really starts in the first intro. You should know why everybody's there and not the surface. Oh, we're here for focus. Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. Where are we lacking it? And if you document this, for example, let's say, because I know you transition, Landon. If Landon, you signed them up and you're teaching, and I stepped in, Santana's out of town, I step in, and I look, and you said they signed up because their focus dropped, their grades dropped in school, their focus is off place, they don't want to do medication, their child might be ADD, mom doesn't want to put them on medication, they think this is the best solution first. Okay, now I have context, and I can, or we're having progress. The kid could not even sit still for 10 seconds. See, one of the things I do is like, okay, cool. Hey, Johnny, Let's see how long we can sit still now. Lock it up. Cool. All right, ready? See that clock? We're going to go to 20 seconds. I'll tell you something in real life. I had a kid compete. You met this kid. I think his name's Antonio. He competed 2 weeks ago. His intro on his form, he doesn't have a full form yet. He did commas, okay? His intro on his form was, I know his whole form was like 15 seconds, dead serious, okay? And so I did a private lesson with him. I says, all right, 15 seconds, that's her intro. So I said, Grandma, start the clock. I says, I'm not teaching you anything else until it takes 15 seconds to your intro. Not because you're going slow, because of the timing. Speed and timing are not the same thing. Speed, how fast you do a move. Timing is the gap in from one move to the next, right? Speed and timing are not the same. So yesterday, 15 seconds to the dot. Perfect. And then I said this, Wednesday, Sarah's going to bring you in front of class and you're going to demonstrate it. I says, I'm going to go ahead and tell you why I'm doing this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the playbook. I think you're going to go faster in 15 seconds because now you have pressure. Your job is not let the pressure beat you and you stay at the 15-second mark. So that's the opposite way, right? Like that kid needs focus. I gave him a goal. He met the goal. So if I got a kid that can't sit still for 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and I get him to 30, I document it. That's a win. Here's my checkpoint on progress checks, and then we'll wrap this up. Before you do your progress check, here's what I'm looking for. Their attendance consistency. If they're supposed to be there twice a week, are they there twice a week? If they're not consistent, what's the identity barriers? Are they a split family household? Are they in too many other activities? These are things I need data on. What do you offer as an opportunity? I know some of you guys have makeup classes, right? What do you offer as the contingency plan? Have you done pre-framing so on the classroom floor? Have you given what we call spotlights? I think Josh brought that up last week on the call. Like, how are you giving spotlights to that kid? Are you showing them while they're in class, hey, that's progress. Hey, you're doing, that's better. That's it. And specifically, don't give vagueness. Hey, great job today. Great job on what? Hey, Lakin, I saw today when you were doing your punches, you were able to lock on your focus. You hit the target 10 times out of 10 times. I saw that. Great job. Boom. That's specific. Are you telling the parent, before you even do your progress check, are you telling the parent, hey, I saw Lakin on the floor today. That was the best focus I've ever seen. She hit the target every single time. Are you telling the parent? All right. We got to tell parents because they're looking for sometimes perfection or they're not looking at anything because they're getting distracted by their device. Okay. Are you setting the identity that the target we start for is the concept of black belt, not the belt, the concept of black belt? What does a black belt represent? It's not the Holy Grail, but it's the achievement of earning that, of who we become on the path. Are you dropping that? These are the pre-frames. And then whatever skills you're going to take them through. So ours is whatever we do in our introductory is what we do in our first progress check. Do they make sure that we're training those in the class? Don't do something in your evaluation of starting as a new student, brand new, like introductory course, that you don't do in class, right? And then whatever you set them up for that, make sure that's happening in class. You never want to test somebody on something where you haven't trained them on. It's unfair. All right, Ms. Landon. So that's all pre-check before you take off for flight on the evaluation. Yes, ma'am.
So another pre-check should be sales manager be checking in with the instructor on where the so they can get instructor feedback as well.
1,000. So we do what's called the Power Five, right? It's a 5-minute pre-work, 5-minute post-work. Instructor, sales manager, what's going right and wrong on the floor, what's going right and wrong on the appointments. Hey, today I'm actually meeting with Billy. He's been in the school here for 6 months. I'm doing his progress check. Hey, give me some input. What's going right? What's going wrong? Cool. Right. So like that's daily. We're kind of on that. So if you could forecast, hey, next week I've got these progress checks. Tell me this week. So like as the instructor, I'm looking the week ahead on the appointments. Oh, Billy's got a progress check. I need to make sure that he's in class this week. I need to make sure that mom's reminded, not of the appointment, of the success that this kid's having. We need to be reminded. We need to be reminded where we were and where we are. So that's communication. That's why, if you remember, I said the appointment calendar is the most important tool because it predicts the future success or the lack thereof. It's not just about signups. As the instructor now in your role, I'm looking ahead at who's got progress checks and who doesn't. Because those kids, I need to make sure they're in class attendance and that I'm reminding the kid and the parent of what's going on. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap up here, guys. The biggest thing I want to remind you guys here, and this is, I put notes in here for reminding your staff. If your progress check ever fails, these 3 things, guys. All right. Landon's the new Lakin. I love it. She's got all the questions. If your progress check feels like it's awkward, it's probably because you missed the belief. right? One, belief in yourself that you're creating a transformation, and two, you're not connecting the reason why they're there, physical things that you're doing with them, and the belief that you're going to get them there. There's a gap somewhere in the confidence of belief. If it feels kind of like weird, if it feels rushed, it's because you're not making an emotional experience. Guys, this is somebody's kids. And some of you guys aren't parents yet. Okay. You'll understand what that means. But like my daughter and my son could literally say one or two things to me and it could crush me. They don't realize how much power they have over me. Okay. Parents, you can say one or two things, you can crush your kids. Simple things. All right. It's like this is somebody's life, their souls in front of them, right? If it feels rushed, because you're not connecting, you're not emotional connected, and they're not getting emotionally connected with you. And if you ever feel, this is one I hear people say, it feels salesy, it's because you're not being a professional. You're not demonstrating literally that you're the expert in life transformation through the life lessons of martial arts. Remember, we're in the business of marketing and selling martial arts lessons, not teaching martial arts lessons. That's what we do, but we have to market what we do before we can do what we do want to do. And so if it feels salesy, it's because you're not being professional. You're just trying to get a sell, as opposed to I'm following a formula because I need to connect emotionally. I need to demonstrate that I'm an expert when I do, and I really do care about changing your lives. So if you follow a playlist and a checklist, it keeps a standard and it's consistent, and that's important. All right. All questions, any topic. Let's go. Let's go. Yes,
I
ma'am,
have
Miss
more
Blue.
on that.
Blue, da da dee da da do. That's the song that's playing right now.
It plays every time I get dressed now. Thank you.
Yes.
So I like that we did the parent coach conference for or student whatever it was in November to be able to touch base with parents, because a lot of our parents have been there for a long time.
Yes.
So book an appointment on the appointment. Should we be booking? Should every student have their next evaluation set?
Okay, so if you whenever just remember this formula from the moment they sign up for any new course, upgrade course, 30 days after, and then halfway through their program. Now, whether
Okay.
they know it's scheduled, right? So 30 days, they should know. Hey, listen, mom, listen, congratulations being a student. Hey, and ours is automated. They get an email, they get a text, and we give them a phone call. So we don't do it at the enrollment, but like they'll know it's coming. If they sign up for 3 years and you're doing 18 months into it, you don't need to schedule it for them, but you can have it where it's automated that you get an alert. Hey, 30 days before the 18-month mark, it's time to schedule, Billy's progress evaluation. So yes, you can automate that kind of stuff. Now, if you were on the call Sunday, we talked about doing the spring sale. I don't know if you've been able to watch that video yet. If you're going to do a one-day sale, and these are abbreviated, it's not the same length of the holiday sale. If you're going to do that version, these are faster versions, and those are more like verbal check-ins. I think Josh was talking about maybe they might call a parent, talk to a parent. Sometimes you're doing those quick kind of check-ins. Those are good too. These are not so much. And then we also do student-teacher conferences. That's more of a 15-minute come in with your parent, sit down, review of what's going on. Those are good to do too. Anything you can do to kind of communicate back with your parents, massive value.
Oh, I was wondering if we could utilize this. Some of our students who've been there for a long time, so I just want to see their progress. They may have forgotten where they started,
Yes, they have for sure. And sometimes us as staff, we've forgotten because we didn't document the process and we've got so much going on. So yes.
Yep. All right.
Absolutely. Josh, any value there of things that maybe you can see some things I didn't bring up or?
No, I think it's awesome. I think just the side of tracking their martial arts progress, also their stripes. I know some people use attendance cards. If you don't, you got to have some kind of Google spreadsheet. If I call my son's math teacher and I ask, "Hey, what's his grade?" and they go, "I don't know. He's your son. Ask him." Like some coaches don't even know where their students are at, and you need a system, attendance cards, Google Track. You have to know. And so that's one of the things. Just I think that's equally as important as making sure that they're progressing. In our system, I don't love it if 100% of students pass, because I think that's bullshit. I think for the 80% mark, I'm happy. So we always do evaluations in the season where we're at per group too, the basics, the beginners, intermediates, because sometimes they may do well in one group, not the other group, right? And the whole number I may have 95% in the beginners and 65% in basic, but they average out well. But I'm not going to average. I want each individual group. How are we doing with those individual groups? So we try to make a big church small. So we look at individual classes also. But I'm loving it, man. I took a lot of really good notes. We do a good amount of communication, but I never halfway through the contract. That makes total sense. I'm definitely, that's my big takeaway, is getting that process set up and make it more of that parent teacher. Let's sit down one-on-one and see where they're at. So that's awesome.
Josh, on that note, and Landon or Lakin, you're next up. if you are setting a goal, fitness goal, the best time to renew the next goal is when you're on the path towards the current one. So even as an individual person, like a business goal, if my goal is to get to 300 students, when I'm on the path, like I'm at 200, don't wait till I get to 300 to think about the next goal. Because what happened is you'll have a lull and you pick back up. So the emotional part, the psychological part is when you're over the halfway hump, they're on this part. So the emotional buy-in is dying. So that's what happens. All right, Miss Lakin. And then I got one more thing to wrap it up with you guys, and we'll head out. Yes, very true on 100% on the running. Yeah, good job on because otherwise you don't schedule the next one if you don't want to go and schedule while you're working towards the first one. Miss Lakin?
Uh, So I was just gonna kind of ask in comparison for the progress evaluation to like the spring sale to the holiday sale, those are like all check-in points. So like at what point does it get redundant? At what point do you like go, push a different direction versus the
Yeah.
other? Or is
So
it just kind of repeating so that they're kind of always have their goals in their mind?
sometimes, I mean, listen, when's a good time to talk to about somebody's life goals? I mean, every day, right? Let me ask you a question. Let's be real, Lakin. You're an average student in your school. How often do you think someone outside of their mom and dad is sitting down with them and asking about their progress or showing them the progress? How often do you think it happens in the course of a year?
When they have parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah, so maybe twice. So if you end up doing it 6 times a year, I don't think it's overkill, right? I think for us sometimes is like we always try to tie it into a sell. I don't always tie it into a sell, although I always give them an offer. What that offer is it might not be a financial offer. Offer is, hey, listen, I would love for you to show up for this next thing. I would love for you to help with this class. I would love you to think about one day being involved with this. It might not be a transactional offer. It might be of, hey, I would love to offer the opportunity for you to be more involved on our social media platform. Hey, mom, I might want you to be part of our PTO here at the school, right? I'm always looking for an opportunity to help align them with what we have as a product and service with what their goals are. Always, okay? I don't think you can check in with somebody's goals too much. Matter of fact, we did this goal setting workshop in January with our students, and all these students wrote on the boards and posted on social media. Guess what? They wrote out what they're going to do with this year. We're going to check in with them just real quick. Hey, and we didn't automate this. This is going to be me or Sarah text and say, hey, mom, can you real quick give me an update? Your son said he was going to do XYZ this year. Where are we at with that? Well, who does this for people? The gym, when they sign you up, are you going to lose weight? You're going to lose stuff. Unless you hire a personal trainer, they don't check in with you. All right, guys, I'm going to finish with this today. I dropped the link for the recording of Sunday's calls, 2 hours long, and the whole Google Drive that comes with it. And that's going to go away. So and listen, don't take my word for it. Ask David or Lakin, some of the people or John who are on the call this weekend, right? Ton of value in there. And I'm excited for you guys being in Atlanta. I know Josh is excited to host everybody there. I got some big announcements. We're gonna have some massive improvements to services and items that are going to be leveraged for all of you guys here. And so I'm really pumped about that. I'll finish with this. Last night I taught private lessons, and I want you to understand how I teach. The same kid I was talking about, his name's Antonio. Now, I don't know the full 100% truth about the family situation. I know what I'm told, right? I know what I'm told, but I don't know the truth. But he's not being raised by his mom and dad. He's being raised by his grandparents, who are not his biological grandparents. So there's some things there, obviously, right? How many of you guys have some situation like that in your school? Probably all of us. Now, I want to also be very transparent. They have 2 kids in the program. Both of them, one of them has been 100% scholarshiped by us. Okay, so being transparent, they're not in the position to be able to afford the program fully. But when I moved to Vegas, I met with them. I loved the family, and I gave them 2 years. I gave them 2 years in the program, and I put money into the account. So it wasn't just like we put money into the account, and it's for the school, and we sponsored those 2 kids. Okay, one of the 2 kids. They went and did the first tournament. Both kids are on the tournament team. They're invested. They're martial arts family. I'm doing a private lesson with this kid last night. Remember I told you about the 15 seconds. He does it a couple times, and I have a process on how to teach private lessons, guys. I don't do warm-ups. I don't do cool downs. I'll teach you guys the concept of that one day. So I'm about to start the lesson. I says, tell me what you're doing on your last move. What do you do on your last move every time? And he's like, well, I do this. I'm like, no. What was the last thing you did? What was the last thing you did? I don't know. And I was like, Grandma, what did you do last move? I don't know, right? And Grandma keeps using the word sorry all the time. She said it 15 times yesterday. And I'm coaching Grandma. Grandma, we don't say sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, stop it. I'm giving you a spanking. I didn't tell her that, but all right. Because words don't mean anything if you use them all the time, if they don't are not used the right way. Language matters. I'm not coach guys. You're not coaching just the kid. You got to coach the family. The lesson last week is that says, Mom, listen, Grandma, here's the process. You're going to help him with this 15 seconds because when I'm not there, you're the coach. Antonio. And the reason why I'm doing this, guys, I don't want him to go home and say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not the karate person. I'm leveraging my confidence and my skill set and saying, that's your coach when I'm not around through the kid. So he knows I'm blessing the mom, grandma. Okay. I said, what's the last move? Sarah's listening there. So nobody knew what his last move was. Does anybody want to guess what his last move was? And as soon as I tell you, you guys are going to like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense. His very last move, he does the 15 seconds, he locks it in his timing, and he turns and looks every time. Who's he looking to? Not me. Who's he looking to? Grandma. Why? Anybody know why he looks? And you have a lot of students that do this. He was wanting approval. Good job, Haley. He's wanting to make sure that, oh, you like me. You love me. I'm good for you. And so here's my private lesson coaching tip that I gave out loud yesterday. I'm not saying you got to coach this way, but if I never see this kid again, this is a lesson to go with him forever. I said, listen, you're looking over there because you want her to be proud of you. You want her approval. I says, and then you look for me because you want me to be proud and you want my approval. I says, the one person you got to be proud of and want their approval is yourself. I says, here's the thing. Your grandma loves you. You cannot do anything to get more love from her. I says, you can even do some bad things. I says, have you done anything bad in the past month? By the way, he cheated on a test last week on school, so I already knew the answer. I didn't bring it up. I was like, did you do anything bad in the past month? Yeah, a few things. Okay. Listen, you could do the worst stuff, and she's still going to love you. I said, so you've already got that. You can't get more. You need to learn how to love yourself and trust yourself so that way you don't need a judge at a tournament and his score to determine your worth. Now, guys, you've ever taken kids to tournaments and they get upset with the scores? Anybody had this happen? I've had it with me and my son. We're some judge who has no investment in our life. No investment in our life. And we're going to care if he gives me an 8 or a 9. Did he see my point or didn't see my point? We get all pissed off. You should. You're emotionally okay. You're passionate. But you're letting that determine if you're even good, maybe great, or you're not even worth being in the room. And I asked the kid, I says, do you believe in God? And I know they go to church, so I know the answer is yes. I says, listen, there's nothing you can do to earn more love from God. He loves you regardless. Now, I'm not saying you got to coach this way, but I feel called to make sure that I am teaching and coaching beyond martial arts because that kid may not walk into the school ever again. And if he's seeking approval, do you know what kids do when they don't get approval from their mom or their coaches? Where do they get approval from? It's going to be their peers. And if that's a dopamine hit we need all the time, you know where that leads. And the world's not going to lead them in the right direction. So I'm asking you guys to pay attention to every time a kid turns and you see the parent, no, turn around. Educate your parents. Hey, listen, when your kid turns around, don't shame them. Just give them a thumbs up, blow them a kiss. That's good. They're seeing if you're still there. Have the conversation with them at home. Hey, Jackson, I love you. I'm proud of you. I love how hard you're working in class. I love your focus. Hey, listen, when you turn around sometimes and you see me over there, you're looking for approval, listen, you already got it. I love you always. All right, I need you to trust yourself when you're doing your skills. These are conversations you need to be strong enough to talk to your parents how to teach and have conversations with their kids. Because that car ride to and from karate is just as important as the class, if not more. So you guys need to be coaching your parents on how to communicate with their kids because guess what? The reason why you progress check is because you need to check in with your families, remind them where their kid's been. They need coaching just as much as their kid because we all want to be better dads and better moms. Nobody's coaching us. Nobody's loving on us. Nobody's helping us communicate with our kids. The reason why I want to be partners with Josh, because I know that's something he's great at. I sat with a pastor yesterday, asked him questions about that. All right. I want to be a better leader. I'm becoming one every day. Don't just teach a good kick. Don't just teach a good punch. Anybody can do that. All right. David said, hey, I'm going to go save lives. Let's go do that every day. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time. If I can do anything, hit me up. get that Sunday call, guys. I'm telling you right now, that's the whole playbook for March. All right. And Lakin, Natalia, you guys for investing in me running your staff training for the whole month of March. Your team's about to level up. I'm excited. I guys see you tomorrow. Peace.